how do I gain the attention of a distraction-prone generation? You might have considered that at one point, and it's hyper-relevant, right? Because you're trying to gain the attention of this next generation of customers. You're trying to gain the attention and loyalty of the crew members on your team. And so this is a question you've got to address. So here's some things we need to think about. Number one, phones aren't to blame for distracted customers or even distracted crew members. Phones aren't to blame. A lack of a compelling narrative is the problem. I was recently, actually before I tell you that story, this is something that I wrestle with as a professional communicator. Every time I take the stage, I'm competing with thousands of notifications, hundreds of emails, hundreds of text messages, unlimited cat memes, right? I'm competing with all of that every time I take the stage. And never once have I asked an audience to turn off their phone or put it away, because in my mind, that's not relevant. This is an extension of us. This is utility. It's very helpful if we're using it correctly and we're using it wisely. But never once have I asked anybody to turn it off, because I believe I can no longer demand your attention. I've got to earn it. So I've got to create engaging visuals. I've got to create interesting stories. I've got to be engaging as a communicator. I've got to use the device and use the polling to pull your attention through. And so I think you can make a lot of parallels with you as a leader, right? As assistant manager. No longer can we just rest on what's always been. We got to think about how do we improve ourselves to really thrive in a very turbulent and sell and to work with a distraction-prone generation. So these are things we got to think about. And I was recently, I run a podcast. I've had it for over 5 years now. We interview Fortune 500 leaders. And I recently had the CEO of Quizlet, which is a learning platform, and he said something very profound. He said, we were talking about this topic of attention. And I said, yeah, it seems like as humans, our attention spans are shrinking. And he said, well, actually, Ryan, I don't believe that. And he said, our attention spans have really remained the same over the decades. There's just more out there competing for our attention. And we're having a hard time deciding where to divert our attention. And I got thinking about it, and I was like, you know what, I think you're right, because people still go to the movies, right? We still go to the movies, and we'll watch a 3-hour and 2-minute long movie. And for those who know what I'm referring to, that was how long Avengers Endgame was, which just became the most popular movie ever, right? It just surpassed Avatar. So people, as distracted as we all are, we still show up to movies and we'll sit for 3 hours and they have our undivided attention. So yes, I believe the CEO of Quizlet's true, that our attention spans are still intact. What's lacking is a compelling narrative. You and I will retreat to our phones when the alternative is less compelling. And these are very helpful and very compelling tools. So as leaders, as communicators, we have to be more compelling if we're going to gain the attention of our customers, if we're going to gain the attention and loyalty of our next generation crew members.